Finances are cited as one of the leading causes for stress, arguments, and divorces in marriage. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk you through some of the mindsets, tools, and techniques that you can use as you navigate money and marriage. My name is Tendo Klo, and I am your financial coach. And throughout the week, I ask you guys to submit some of your questions on relationships and money. And these are just some of the questions that I want to bring to your attention as I address it in this video, right? So some of the questions or comments were around budgeting as a couple, managing finances as a couple in general. What's your opinion on a joint bank account for married couples? How can a married couple practically do finances together? Does my husband need to know how much I earn? Do you have a stash? How involved with black tax commitments should my partner be? His money is our money, but my money is my money. Budgeting as a couple, financial goals. And guys, I just want to say before we even go into the tools and the techniques and all the things that we have used to just help us navigate money in our marriage, right? I want to say marriage is work, right? If you are preparing to get married, or you've just gotten married, or you've been married, I'm sure you've already picked up that things are not just going to automatically happen because at some point you stood in front of the pastor, in front of God and your parents, loved ones, and you said, I do, right? Nothing is going to happen automatically. In order for us to get onto the same page with every area of our lives in our marriage, we are going to have to put in some work. We're going to have to invest, right? And that's what we did in our marriage. We invested in books, right? We did a course with Dave Ramsey where he taught couples how to do money together. That's why we know we have a way of doing money, right? It's not just something that automatically happened. We didn't just automatically come to being united when it comes to running our finances in our home, right? And I want to charge you, I want to encourage you, and I want to remind you to always remember, guys, remember that in order for you to win when it comes to anything in your life, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to invest, right? So let's get into some of the tools and the techniques, or rather, let me start off with the approach that we used as a couple in terms of managing money in our marriage, right? So we use a combined approach, very simple. Well, I'd like to think about it as very simple because it's something that we've been doing for the past. We are celebrating our 5th year anniversary in April, so we've been doing this since we got married, right? So it's the combined approach where we all get our income, and this income goes into a joint bank account, so combined bank account. And from this joint account, then all the expenses get paid, right? All the bills, all the family households bills get paid through this account. But also part of what gets paid out is what I want to call like our salary or our allowance, right? Which goes into our separate bank accounts. So we have two bank accounts. We both have two bank accounts, a primary bank account, which is the joint household bank account. And we also have a secondary bank account. And this is the account that allows us to be individuals, to do individualistic things, right? To do anything that we want to do. This is the money that we use for whatever it is. If I wanted to just go on a short left somewhere, or I wanted, I don't know, whatever I want to do without having to, ask the next person or get permission from the committee, like all of that stuff happens in our own personal accounts. And I think it's a great place to also just it's a great place to just give each other freedoms when it comes to money, because there are things that I don't necessarily, and he does not want to always get the go ahead for me. So joint account, joint household costs, and then we have our what do you call it, our individual bank accounts. And on that question around, do I have a stash, this is the opportunity for me to actually build a stash, which I do have, because I get my allowance. I also have rules, because I think that's just how I'm wired, right? When it comes to money, I have rules. Part of my income goes towards some form of saving or some form of investment. So I do that, right? There is money that I will lock away for whatever, a rainy day, or for whatever it is that I want to do. in the future, right? So how do we actually practically do this? How does this practically play out? The starting point is around goal setting, right? So towards the end of the year, into the beginning of the year, we always have what we call our AGM, which is something that we learned from the book, where we sit and we talk about the things that we want to achieve in the coming year or in the year that we are currently in, right? And in that planning meeting, obviously we are talking about everything, that concerns the marriage, but we then, it's clear that most things are going to touch the area of our finances, and that is the area where we spend most of the time, to be fair. And some of the examples, I'll give you some of the examples, like we turning 5 this year, so that is a big ticket item in our marriage or in our finances this year. So it was an opportunity for us to think through, okay, what do we want to do? Where are we going, or are we going anywhere? And then there was also a time when we needed to think through, although things did not work out perfectly before we had our son, right? The year before that happened, we were actually planning, right, financially, to have this baby. It just so happened that the baby came earlier than expected, the greatest blessing of our lives. But again, the AGM affords us the opportunity to plan, to think through, right, how practical our goals are and what we are going to do to actually actualize these goals, right? And once we've determined that, okay, these are the things that we are doing, these are the things that now need to feed into our budget on a monthly basis. So for instance, if we are working towards an anniversary package, or we're working towards increasing investments for our child, why am I saying children, for our child, then we want to then slot it into the budget every single month, and we account for that, right? So what we've been doing throughout the years is every month, we would have, before month end, we would have a session where we are budgeting, where we are forecasting what is coming in the next month, raise expectations where income is concerned, raise expectations where expenses are concerned, and then once the month has ended, the income has come, then and the bills have been paid, then we do a recon. Well, my husband does that recon, but then what we do is we meet, and then we talk about the variances, or the differences is basically the difference between what we expected would happen and what actually happened. And at the beginning of our marriage journey, or actually doing this exercise, we learned that there were two line items that were very, very problematic, right? The area of food, so groceries, and eating, and eating in, not even eating out, groceries and eating in. Like, we ordered in, like, when you just on a random Wednesday just decide, oh no, I don't feel like cooking. Yeah. So we realized that, yeah, we don't have disciplines, or we don't have controls in our finances in the area of food, right? Groceries, as well as eating in, as well as Ubers, right? We don't have a car. And so, yeah, if it just starts raining, and if you know anything about England, it's always raining, right? And I'm the culprit here. If I was in town and it just started raining, right, and it can rain for 2 minutes, and the rain also here, guys, it's not like it's hectic rain. You can walk in the rain and get home and not even get sick, right? If I just saw, that it's raining and I'm outside, I'll just immediately take an Uber. But again, these are some of the things that I picked up, or that we picked up when we were doing this variance analysis, where we are actually saying, actually, like, we could do so much, we could achieve some of our goals faster if we just had controls around groceries as well as Ubers. And what we then decided to do is, in terms of the grocery budget, right? So let's say, for instance, it was 500, right? Just as an example, what we would do is we would transfer it into either my secondary account or his secondary account, and then it was easier for us to track our spend, because it's sitting in a smaller account with smaller monies, right? And you are able to track. In week 1, you're able to track, like, if in week 1 we spend 215 groceries, then you know that you've got 250 left, as opposed to just constantly transacting with this big joint account that has a lot of money and you're not able to really see what's going on, or where your grocery budget is being depleted, right? So yeah, that's what we did, and it has worked. It continues to work, but this is just an example of how this exercise of budgeting and doing the post budgeting activities have helped us to understand our money tendencies, to help us understand our money patterns, helped us also save, like save a lot. So yeah, those are just some of the benefits that comes with, doing the budgeting process and doing the actualization process. And guys, it's not as technical as you think it is, because already the template is there. We're just slotting in numbers. The numbers stay the same because it's not like we're doing, out of cycle things every other month, right? Most of the things stay the same. Most of the things are very much routine. So it's not a technically, dense process, not at all. And the more you do it, the more you become confident. The more you do it, guys, very important, it's the more that you're now starting to understand each other's values. Very important. You're understanding what you guys like, what you guys don't like, what's important for you guys as a family or as a household. And the other thing that I found that this process has helped us with is the ability, to communicate our needs, the ability to communicate. I mean, someone talked about, asked about, whether or not we should even be sharing about, or the extent to which we should share about our black tax obligations, right? This is a safe space. Well, I'm assuming and I'm hoping that this is a safe space for you to, develop, the skill to be able to communicate your needs, to communicate the things that are important to you, that you may want joint effort with, right? It's an opportunity for you to also just strengthen your communication skills, because communication, guys, in marriage, very important, critical, very necessary. And because, again, I insist, you're doing this on a habitual basis, you're doing this every single month, you're getting better and better over time before you know it, guys. Because again, like I said, these things are just, they are routine things, right? You are going to start seeing the results of your hard work, the results of your investment eventually over time. And if this is your kind of content, please do subscribe and share this with anyone in your circle who you know will benefit from this. And lastly, please let me know in the comment section, guys, very important, what approach you are using in your marriage. There's a lot of people in this community, people who are like students, people who are working professionals, who are wanting to get married, as well as people who've just gotten married, and people who are seasoned in this marriage space, who can benefit from maybe some of the approaches that you guys can share with us, for the benefit of, the broader community. I'll see you next time.